Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to,
Hello.
here we go. Welcome back to fUNfiltered Marketing Talk for Authors. I'm Carol Tetzloff.
And I'm Sarah Cormany, and we are so glad that you are here today, whether you are joining us live or maybe even joining us on the replay.
Yeah, so today is going to be a little bit different. And honestly, one of the most important conversations that we can have as authors, because we're not just going to talk about marketing. We're going to show you what it looks like with a real life example from one of our authors at Redemption Press who just launched his children's book. So I don't know if you're watching today, Rob, but we're using your book and we're excited for what we came up with as we have this conversation.
We absolutely are. Pastor Rob, you are one of our favorites. So this is actually one of the moments where we collectively move from I understand this to I actually can do this.
Yeah, and Rob is actually doing this in real life. And so this is why we want to use him, because he has some events that he is putting on and being a part of, so that we can come alongside him and kind of give him some good messaging. Because here's the truth: most of you out there are not struggling with application or information, you're struggling with application. So the purpose of today is really simple. We want to help you take one shift that you already heard and then put it into practice this week. So if you've been with us, you know we've been revisiting some of these conversations, not because you haven't heard them,
but because we want to make sure that you're actually doing them.
Yeah, because it's easy to listen, nod, and feel encouraged, but then go back and do exactly what you've already been done. So we're going to start with a check-in. Today, we're coming back with one of the most important shifts in the entire series. Your book isn't a product to be sold, it's a message to be started.
And that can sound really, really simple, but it actually changes everything you're doing.
Yeah, so let's just recap where we've been. When a book is treated like a product, marketing sounds really kind of icky, like buy my book, here's a link, it's on sale, support me.
And when that's the focus, marketing starts to feel really heavy and awkward and forced. And we usually do everything else that we can think of instead of market, or maybe that is just me. But successful authors, they really don't start with the book. They start with a message, right? They're asking, what does my reader need right now? Where are they struggling? And how does the message I have meet them in that struggle?
Right, because the goal isn't just sharing the information you have, it's reaching someone right where they are. And so we're going to give you 4 steps, but after the 4 steps, we're going to show you how this looks practically with one of our authors.
Yep. So gear up. Pastor Rob is coming. Step number 1, identify your core message. So the very first thing we're wanting you to do is just to take a few minutes, do it right now. I mean, why not? And answer this question. What is the one thing that my reader needs to hear right now? Not your whole book, just one piece of it.
Yeah, and if that feels a little hard to pin down, go back to the moment when you first wrote your book in the first place. What was stirring in you? What felt important enough that you couldn't not say it? That's usually where your message lives. And honestly, it's where we start everything we do. We always have to go back to our core message. But once you remember and you are able to really identify that core message, then we turn that message into one simple share. Now we're going to share a really practical example, but from there, we really do something that doesn't necessarily have to be polished, it doesn't have to be complicated. And so as you think through what your best fit is for your particular message, where your audience is, this will turn into a short post, a paragraph in your email, a conversation with someone. Perhaps you're into YouTube or a video or Substack, so you're writing a blog. Whatever that looks like, you take your message and then you make it into that simple share.
So good. So step one is identifying your core message. Step two, as Carol already kind of alluded to, is turn that message into one simple share. And as you actually do that in the practical ways that she mentioned, you're just focusing on the person you're speaking to. So not everyone, just the person that needs your message. What would help them feel seen right now? What might encourage them or steady them or give them language for what they've been feeling?
Yeah, that's really the goal in this step. Not to say everything or get it perfect, but to meet someone right where they are with something that matters.
And when you do that, it changes how the share is received. It feels more personal, more real, more like a conversation rather than a presentation. So we want to steer kind of away from that. And again, go back to why did you write the message, or why did you write the book rather in the first place? So that's step number two. Step number three is speaking directly to one person. And we've kind of already alluded to that. As you do this, picture one individual sitting across from you, maybe at a coffee shop, or maybe you're sitting down in your living room. It's not everyone. It's not a broad audience. It's just one.
Yeah. And, I think that when we think of this one person too, we can think of other circumstances that we're in. We're in a waiting room at a doctor's office, and we happen to be sitting next to someone who's going through chemo treatments because we're going through that. And we're writing a book on surviving cancer and how God can move and work. And so what is the need that that person has at that moment that you can really connect with and feel much more personal, the thing that's going to make them feel seen, like, oh, that's exactly where I am today, because that's where the connection is going to start. And then you can go into step number 4, just take a look, what's going to happen, and watch what God can do. And pay attention. Don't overanalyze the circumstance that you find yourself in or the conversation. Just notice them. Just notice the words that are being said back to you, and really listen. Do people respond differently with the conversations that you have? What is it that they're connecting to? What is that connecting point for you? And even as you begin to talk about your message, is it feeling a little bit lighter because you've thought about it in a different way?
Something I always encourage any author to do that I'm talking about platform or marketing is really everything that we do is a learning experience. So when we take that, fear and need for perfection out of the equation, when we take steps forward, we don't have to look at them as successes or failures. They're all learning opportunities. And that's how we grow. That's how we meet needs for our audience, is by learning more about them. Because honestly, this is where people start to notice that shift, when the pressure to sell lifts and connection starts to grow.
Right. Because it's all about making those connections with people. So let's really transition right now into Rob's example. So Rob is the author of the book Bessie the Cat Who Saved My Family. So it is a children's book, and children's books are a lot of fun to market and to kind of curate that conversation, but perhaps next time we'll do a different genre for you. And right now, Rob is just in full motion. He is literally setting up tables in malls and meeting people as they walk by to sell his book. So he's kind of in that product mode. So sorry, Sarah. I know you were supposed to introduce it. I totally took your part.
It's totally fine.
Okay, so I'm just going to keep going since I totally just took over all of our notes. So Rob is in product mode. And when he's in product mode, it could potentially sound like this. Hey, this is my book. It's about a cat who saved our family. It's a true story. It includes safety tips. Would you like to buy one?
Yes. And again, not necessarily wrong, but it's missing connection and that really identifying what that felt need of that person who walks up to the table is experiencing in action.
Yeah. And really his message isn't about a cat. It has a much wider message to it that's really going to hit a need that families have. So it's about God watching over us, even in unexpected ways, which his book does have a pretty surprise ending. And then, and it also has the message that we need to be prepared to protect people that we love.
Mm-hmm. So now we're at the same table, same setting, but listen to the difference.
Yeah. So instead of just saying this is a book about a cat, maybe he starts with a question like, hey, can I ask you something really quick? If something happened in your home, like an emergency with your family, would your family know what to do? And then maybe pause and let the person answer and then say, most families really don't. And honestly, my family didn't either until one night God used something completely unexpected to protect us.
Yeah. And do you see what just happened? He led with a real need. He created curiosity and then he invited them into the story itself.
Yeah, he connected the story to the message. He continues. So he could say, we had a cat named Bessie, and what seemed like an ordinary moment ended up saving our lives. And it's completely changed how we think about how God watches over us and how he prepared our family.
Mm-hmm. And now the book and its message becomes a natural conversation starter. Something like this might be his next thought to interject in the conversation. I wrote this for families so kids can understand how God works. And so parents can walk away with real safety steps like fire plans and emergency response. I remember us talking about in one of the coaching sessions about this broader need, but also how Rob is seeing people engage in just the need for fire safety. So yeah, it has that broader message, but every child and every family, no matter their experience with faith, needs fire safety. And this is a beautiful vehicle, not only to do that, but also meet that broader need of we have a God who loves and cares for us.
Yeah. Yeah, yesterday in our coaching session, he was talking about how his book even shows children how to call 911 and how to do very practical things that, sometimes we don't really think about that as a parent. And so it's great. So now we feel this kind of shift happening. He's not selling, he's connecting, and he's serving his audience.
Mm-hmm. And when somebody feels seen, they don't need to be convinced to buy it.
Right. Right, for sure. So here's the step that you can take this week, and let's make it really tangible. We want you to take your message of your book and turn it into a conversation starter. So you really have to think through, like, who is that one person that you're having the conversation with? Because sitting in a waiting room in a doctor's office is different than standing at a table in a mall or at a craft fair where you're selling your book. It could lead to the same type of conversation, but usually there's a different audience member walking up to your table at that point. Mm-hmm. So remember, it's not a pitch. It's not just a post. It's a conversation.
And ask yourself, what question could I ask that immediately connects to what my reader is already carrying? So here's your question for this week. Am I trying to sell my book, or am I faithfully sharing my message in every situation that I'm presented with the opportunity to share?
Yeah, because here's what we want you to walk away with today. You don't have to force your marketing. You don't have to convince people to buy your book. You don't have to stand behind your message hoping someone notices, because God's already gone ahead of you. He's already stirring hearts and creating moments. He's opening up these conversations and allowing you to be in the places where the people need it.
And your role really isn't to sell a product. It's to step into those moments and faithfully share what he's given you.
Yeah. And if you're inside Book Marketing Pro Academy, this is what we do. We take what you've already written and we help you turn it into real conversations, real connection, real resources, real movement.
And if you're not, you don't have to figure this all out by yourself. We walk this out with you step by step by step. So if you're interested in exploring that further, go to bookmarketingproacademy.com. We would love to have you join us on your writing journey.
Yeah. And so we will. Thanks, Sarah. It was fun today. I love using the example and having something very practical. Hope that helped everyone out. And we will see you next time on FUNfiltered.
Take care.